Good evening. I'm Orgon Solo, one of the administrators of the Facebook group called Nikola Tesla's World, where we promote all things Nikola Tesla. Today, the 9th to 10th of July 2016, we are celebrating that it's 160 years since Nikola Tesla was born. On the stroke of midnight, it is said. So who was Nikola Tesla, you ask? Many people ask that. They cannot place him in history. But indeed they should, as the very fact that I am able to communicate with you now through the use of a cell phone and can record the fact there's lights in the ceiling, that we have remote control, that we have internet. It's all due to the man we know as Nikola Tesla today. He was the inventor of discoverer of alternating current, as well as remote control and radio and separation of bands on bandwidth. Otherwise it would be just a jumble of words on the radio, and many other things besides. Among them was wireless transmission of electricity. In fact, one of the less known statements he made was when he officially launched this alternating current. He said, he said, this alternating current here, it's already obsolete. The man was so far ahead of his time, people in his day could not believe it. And even today, as we are making our first ventures into wireless transmission of electricity, it is still, an enigma. So, because of this, we have this group, Nikola Tesla's World, where, as I said, we promote all things Nikola Tesla. It is our mission to have him in the textbook, in academia, because why isn't he taught about? People think much about Thomas Edison, a contemporary of Tesla, and also one that had him in employ for a short time. But Tesla seems to be forgotten. So if you want to help us in this venture, subscribe to our page, share it with your friends, like our pictures. We post a ton of pictures each day, and each of them have a caption that gives some piece of history, some detail about his life and doings and the people he met, the repercussions of his work, his legacy, and ultimately, if we look at him, purely as a human being, also it is an ideal of a man many people should strive for. Until his late days, he was ever a humble man, a hard-working man, but a very humble one. He could be arrogant at times, but that is something that comes with the greatness. That does not mean that Tesla was, haughty. He did not suffer fools, and why should he? This guy, he had 14 different languages in his head. He had photographic memory. One of the things we learn from Tesla is that you see, the kitten here is also wanting to learn about Tesla, eh? Don't you? Mm, yeah. I want to show you a picture about this wireless. Something we don't have today even. How we have Tesla holding a lamp in his hand and no wires. How sweet! That is not a torchlight. It's not. It's not the run by battery. It's from his laboratory. There are so many things about aspects to Tesla's life and his work that is so interesting. You know, in many ways you could say he was also the discoverer of our imagination. The way he used his photos, he was among the first to use multiple exposure. That means that in his laboratory, there's a famous picture of him with a Tesla coil, and it's shooting out sparks in all directions, and he is sitting there, and we have one of them. This is a multiple exposure picture. In reality, it's maybe just 1 or 2 or 3 lightnings shooting out from the top of the coil. But taking many pictures in a row and putting them over each other means that it looks like like it's flaming. And in that sense, you could say that he made, he facilitated what we know today as photoshopping. It's very interesting. And there's another one that is also very little known about. People usually accredit Röntgen for the discovery of X-rays, but as a matter of fact, Tesla was the first. And there are also some of the early photos from that. He also made the Hertzian waves. It was not Hertz, it was Tesla that figured out the calculations to how you calculate those waves. And when we look at the internet today and the way we use it, the way, as I said, he discovered our imagination. The way we use the internet today is to, in a sense, to discover ourselves, and that's so interesting. We are really on a threshold here now, on as a species, and there's a lot of things we need to think about that with these changes. I mean, wireless transmission of electricity, it is fraught with dangers. There are many people that are getting seriously affected of it. But I mean, if we can look at this have an open discourse of it, not only the positive benefits of it, but also the dangers, I'm sure it's possible to attune the frequencies in which the electricity is sent. That would make it possible for us to not be harmed by it. For instance, a few years ago I was in Belgrade in the Nikola Tesla museum there, and one of the experiments is a very cool museum. They have a large coil. They also have a smaller coil that it sends out a spark of, I believe it's was 70,000 volts, and you could touch that spark and you only feel a small tingle on your finger. And this is because the frequency is so tuned that the electricity travels on the surface of the skin. It doesn't penetrate. this was one of the ways that the Tesla used in his laboratory to have this, this lamp that I showed. So what a special guy he was. He was born in Croatia of a Serbian Orthodox family. His father Milutin was a priest, and I believe he had 4 or 5 brothers, maybe 6 even. I cannot remember right now. Whom all went on to become priests, and so also was Tesla has to be a priest, but he really wanted to study. His father trained him in this photographic memory, and in his book, My Inventions, he talks about how he read all the works of Voltaire. I think it's like 18 volumes, and he knew them all by heart. He could recite them. And that is kind of it's far out. I don't know how many can do that today, but in those days, I don't know what techniques were being used, but it would sure be interesting to learn. So, well, I shan't go on too long, but thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thanks for spreading the word about Nikola Tesla's world. Did I say? I have this drawing here. This is a second version I made. The original, it is in the Tesla Museum in Belgrade. And there I have cast it. This is in gold, so I don't know. I got it framed in Belgrade, and I donated it to the museum for free as a token gesture of what Tesla meant to me, what inspiration he has been to me over the years. I mean, I think I first learned of him in a club in Oslo back in 2002. At the time I worked as a DJ and also as a librarian. And especially as a librarian, it was curious to learn about Tesla, that all these sockets and leads we have around, all this electricity. That never thought, it never occurred to me that somebody had discovered the principles of that of that system. And what was even more staggering was that I never heard about him. I think to do my due diligence, I spent maybe 3 years just to verify for myself that this was not a joke, that Tesla was a real human being that had lived on this world. I mean, it's crazy that we don't learn about it. But I found out, I could verify, yes, Tesla was real. He lived, he had his work, and he has his legacy. And this is why also I think I don't strictly put him in the same category as the average human being. To me, he was more like a saint, as I say. He was extremely humble. As big money interests tried to pull him down. I mean, in the years after his venture in Wardenclyffe, and somehow backed by J.P. Morgan the J.P. Morgan, there was still no Morgan Bank, General Electric, GE Money Bank. Those are the oldest surviving stock firm that is still on Wall Street today. But basically, when it kind of dawned on Morgan that Tesla was not just tinkering with radio transmission but also electricity, he kind of put the kibosh on the whole venture. And Tesla's most influential friends like Jacob Astor. He was unfortunate to be on the Titanic when it sank. If you read the story about Titanic, you will find that also this was the hand of Morgan was behind it, and it seems to have been a kind of insurance fraud. It was probably, it seems like 100% sure that it was not the Titanic that sank, but as a matter of fact, another ship, sister ship that was called the Olympic, and many people died because of that, and among them Jacob Astor. So, you know, what does a human being that of Tesla's stature do when his friends are being killed, you know, ruthlessly? And you see the rug is being pulled out of under his feet. You know, most people would. I for one cannot imagine how it must have been like for Tesla in 1916, walking around the streets of New York, dirt poor, and seeing the world around him coming to life from his discoveries, and still keep an even keel. You know, Tesla lived on this planet till 1943, then he passed on beyond the Great Whale. But today we are here to celebrate his birth. I think that is the most appropriate thing. So once again, like our page, share it with your friends. Tell the world about Nikola Tesla, because the world needs to know. That's all. Thank you and good night.